Okay, yeah, this is very good. Yeah, this is a very good one. A little sprightly, lots of flickering, lots of flashing. Okay, very good. Let me mark this. All right, thank you, Minjung. That was great. The only thing that I might want to suggest is maybe adding some color. You don't have to, it's a subjective thing, but maybe some yellows and greens and blues, purples. I think that at one point there was one student a couple of semesters ago that really overdid the amount of pixie dust. I mean, it was working, but it was just too much. And I actually recommended to go back in there instead of erasing, to do black dots of pixie dust over the top of it. And it worked beautifully because it created all kinds of strange shapes. It was actually really cool. All right. So thank you, Minjung. Lightning, Millicent. Okay, yeah, that works for me. Are you planning on using this? Hopefully you're using this in your tornado or your volcano?
Yes.
Okay, so you see that it was really easy. Just make sure that you're thinking about your layout, your composition. Where does the lightning start? Where does it go to? It should just be a little place right there. And remember, you're doing white on black here. And so I don't see the white flash. I like your glow. And I didn't figure out what was wrong with my glow last week. But when you're in your volcano, you have to decide whether you're going to use an area mat or whether you're going to use a white frame, black frame over the whole thing, which reminds me, I thought that the whole reason that I went to the Pinterest thing was because I posted a lightning thing that was working really well. Oh man, I guess I didn't, maybe I posted it to a different board. No, I guess I forgot to pin it. All right, so I think this looks good, but just figure out what you're going to do with that flash frames. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. And let Millicent, I'm still looking for smoke from you.
Yes, all I have is what I posted last week. I'm having a difficult time with it, but I'll be working on it this weekend.
Okay, this looks like it's locked. Yeah, so you had a good start there. Let me go back in here and see if I can edit the smoke. I don't know why I did that. That's very strange. So let me, go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. That was my first version. And then under the midterm progress, I did my second version.
Okay.
I just put it into that file.
I see, okay.
And I've been revising it since then.
Okay. All right, so I see it there, but let's just look at Joseph's first. So this is midterm project progress. Oh yeah, it's playing okay. All right, so Joseph, water splash looks okay. We've got the flashing of the lightning happening okay. I think that it's okay. The clouds in the background are moving too fast. Joseph, slow them down. they're technically 10, 25 miles away. So slow them down. Also, I think that go back in there and make them look more like they fit into your environment. I'm trying to get Zoom to wake up here. So my recommendation would be not quite so amorphous, make them a little bit more graphic. The clouds often have like a flatter bottom and then go up. And then if you want to extract some shape on the bottom, then do that. Clouds can be any shape that you want, but I would recommend stylizing your clouds just a little bit. All right, and I think that we might have looked at this before. Hold on one second. Did I look at this before already, Joseph?
This specific version?
Yeah.
No.
Well, no. The smoke. I've seen the smoke before, right?
Yes.
All right. So I think that I might have commented that I think that the holes are working, but I think that what you might want to do is paint these bottom holes just a little darker gray. So eyedropper your gray, and then just make these shadows. And when you're doing that, it might make sense to elaborate on them just a little bit. And what I mean by that is you've got this kind of highlight shape right here, which is fine. I think that, why is this not working? I think that you can go in there and just do the same kind of thing where, okay, this volcano is erupting and so you might want to eyedropper your gray and make this a lighter color of gray. And then when you're thinking about this so that's a highlight, right? This ends up becoming a highlight. And then these down here end up becoming shadows. And so once you think about that notion, maybe elaborate on them just a little bit, maybe expand them out just a little bit. So paint these a lighter color gray and these a darker color gray. And I think you also might want to try to make it grow, make the shadow grow just a little bit so that it reads like a shadow. So, and there's no reason why you can't just get that to expand over there or something like that. So that would be my suggestion there. The water splash looks okay. Let me take a look at. All right, so what I would recommend is doing, the lightning flash works, but you also might, what you have is a white frame that is just semi-transparent, which is fine. That's one way to do it. But I think that you should also do the black frame that is semi-transparent, right? And then I think that in order to really make your point, do some lightning over here. You've got some space over here, and do a combination of the overall flash frame that you've got, white and black, add that. But see if you can do some area mats up here. So it's just like a excited area behind it. All right, it looks like you've got mud bubbles down here. Okay, that's good. Let me see, I think you slowed your eruptions down, as I remember from last week. I think that you could slow them down even more. So in between them, just kind of look at it, pretend you're looking at this and someone else animated this. So I would recommend in betweening them at least one more time, maybe even two more times. Slow your clouds down, add lightning, paint these as highlights, paint these as shadows. Your water splash looks okay. Mud bubbles look okay. All right, thank you, Joseph.
Thank you.
All right, Javon,
Yes.
Javon, turn your camera on just for a second, so you're not in trouble with school.
I'm actually using my iPad right now.
All
So
right.
I'm drawing while I'm on Zoom. It's kind of can't turn it on just yet.
All right, so I remember seeing this before. It's a good
Yeah, I went
start.
back to an older version because I wanted to add an explosion to the
Right.
volcano.
Right. I think that you have to make sure that the first frame loops back, the last frame loops back into the first frame correctly,
Okay.
because I think that it's close, but you lose track of this one.
Mhm.
So right here, I'm on your last drawing,
Right.
and you lose track of that one. So this big hole right here goes up. Looks like you're on 8s maybe, or
Yeah.
4s. It goes up, and then, well, maybe it's my playback. Let me download this, because I want to make sure that I give you the proper feedback. Now there's one missing. The connection from the first one to the last one, I believe, is missing.
Yeah.
So it goes up. So I'm looking at that shape right there. It goes up, it goes up, it goes up again, it goes up. And I believe, oh, so that's your last frame. So you missed it on your last frame.
Oh.
See how it goes away?
Yeah.
And because it goes away, you have the danger of it making look like it goes backwards,
Right. Right.
especially because this shape goes inside. See it?
Yeah.
The other ones are working. Just get the other elements working in there too.
Okay.
All right, let me refresh this. All right, and go back up here. All right, that's all the new stuff right now. So I've got open boxes for your progress on your volcano for Ryan, Rob, Minjung, and Millicent. And I'm looking at this, and Brian, you still have your smoke to show me, correct?
Yeah. Actually,
Yeah, I don't see smoke there. So remember, your midterm grades are not final grades, they go away. And Dan, you're missing pixie dust, smoke, and your volcano. And
I think, yeah, I think so.
all right. All right, so let us, I'm just looking at my notes. Pinocchio is set to come out at the end of the year. I think I keep mentioning this, but I really literally just cannot wait for Guillermo del Toro's version of Pinocchio. It's going to be groundbreaking, awesome. Remember that the press release from Guillermo del Toro himself said that it's not for kids. And that's just automatically interesting to me. All right, so let me just ask this, is anyone planning on or working on something that they're going to upload while we're doing our demonstration for today?
Mm,
All right, so if you post something, just let me know. Because what I'm gonna do is another couple of demonstrations for you. But in order to do that, I want to get set up. And so let's take our break early today. So just take a 10-minute break right now. When we come back, I would like to roll on into, we've already done bubbles and eruptions. Just take a 10-minute break right now. And when we come back, I'll do further demonstrations. 10 minutes. All right, let's come back, everybody. I wanted to just give you an overview of the last part of our class after spring break here. We have 8 more sessions. And remember that we are working ahead. So we already did water and lava and these eruptions. We've already done that. So you do have like a reprieve. You have a space to breathe right here. And remember, just by the way the pandemic is still affecting the world, that is the time when you need to go in there and make your volcano just completely as awesome as possible. Comma, yes, comma, your midterm grades might not be the best. Some of you are behind, but this will give you a chance to catch up. During this whole time, you should also be thinking about the sketches that I asked you to do. What are you thinking of doing for your final? And now that you've got a full grasp on what we're doing, look at those list of things, shattering glass, summoning orbs and beams, just use your creative imagination. What do you want to do with it? Again, I think that I'm doing this because it's a good portfolio piece. So the one thing that we're going to do is go backwards today, and we're going to talk about the tornadoes. And we'll just do a big introduction to tornadoes today. I'm sorry, I just wanted to check in with all of you. Did we do explosions yet? I showed you how to do an explosion.
Yeah,
Okay.
last week.
Okay, so yeah, I'm just a little confused right there because I got people behind, too many people behind. All right, so before I do anything else, I see that someone has uploaded a smoke. So let's just take care of this. This is Brian. Okay, so I'm going to download this. Well, no, I don't think I need to do that. So I think that there's a couple of things that you need to adjust here. So first of all, I think that you kind of have to think about the composition here. Let me get Zoom to wake up. Come on, Zoom. There we go. All right. Oops, it's not picking up pencil. All right. So, hey. All right, there we go. Strange. All right, so remember that if your smoke is going off in this direction, that you really should give yourself some space for the volcano to work. Remember that we talked about cinematic thirds. I went on a bit just saying that this is really good. Cinematographers, they learn, directors learn that the cinematic thirds is a really great place to start your composition, but don't get stuck on it. For us, I think that if you were to move your volcano over in this region here, that it would given you a bit more room to really work with the smoke instead of cramping yourself up into this corner. But it doesn't need to be on the cinematic thirds, but I think that what you need to do is go in there and just really think about what the shape of your smoke is and how you want it to work. Because I think this is just a little bit too amorphous. It's a little bit too organic. So really think about what the shape of that smoke is going to look like. Draw a keyframe out like you mean it, right? I'm just looking at my notes. All right, think about highlights and shadows. And really the thing is going to move on this arc and this arc. And so plot out your points about how it's moving. And then these are your keyframes. X is your keyframe. And then on the bottom, do the same thing. These are your keyframes. And then O is your keyframe down here. And then in animation, you work from one keyframe into the other keyframe. So that what you do is you chart it out. And so your in-between drawings right here actually become breakdown drawings. Key drawings, keyframes are always circled. Underlined drawings are always your breakdown position. And then do that. So draw your first keyframe out the X goes, well, actually, I lied. X goes into X and O goes into O. And so do that in between and go back in there so that you get that movement going from your core center point from where the smoke is emanating from and outwards. It's going up. Because I think that these little squiggles here aren't working. They're not only not working, but they're just kind of moving a little bit and then they go backwards. They move a little bit, they go backwards. The idea is to move from one key position into the next key position. And this is a chart. And it's just a graphic represent. This line right here is a graphic representation of the arc of the directions. In the olden days, if Mickey Mouse was over here and he was going to take an anticipation and then just kind of go up and off the screen, that they actually put the chart, the arc of motion on the drawing. And then Mickey would fly, his head would fly up off the screen. And this was fine. And the animation drawing itself, you know, the center peg, the flat pegs, and then the alt round pegs for ink and paint. And then they would just put this chart right on there. They would put notes right on here. They would draw on here. Some of them actually had phone numbers because the animator was talking to somebody and they could write anything they wanted here. Because in this day and age, the animation drawing would go to the ink and paint department, and the ink and paint department, which was controversial at that point because it was 100% women, and that women were not allowed in the animation department, you know, screw Disney. And for the longest time, even all the way up until just about 20 years ago, Disney would not let women be in the story room, or whoever the, you know, Disney, the company, would not let women in the story room. It was just horrible, completely inequitable. But when we transitioned from having these drawings go into ink and paint, the women knew, they knew not to write these notes out. They knew not to ink the notes that the animator had drawn on the paper. They knew not to ink the arc. But sometime around 101 Dalmatians, they started using Xerox. And so to speed up the process of animation, the drawings then had to be cleaned and not just rough animation. And because of that, the charts went off to the side. So this chart right here would be off to the side of the drawing. And it was off enough so that the ink and paint people knew that if it got onto the Xerox a little bit, they could just take a flat, clean piece of wood and just scrape off the Xerox. It came off the cell very easily. So that's what this is. That's what this chart is. It describes the movement from one keyframe into the next, right? So I think you need to spice up your mountain and draw your mountain just like either a graphic illustration rather than just this mashed potatoes that are right here. Because once you do this, you'll have a chance to do your lava. You could even put your lava out on the outside of it. So go into this and make this much more aesthetically pleasing. Right? Got it? And then make your composition. So, and you can just borrow what I'm doing right here with the screen grab and just say, okay, this will give you a chance to do your water splash with a meteorite coming in here. And then you can break this up here that there's another transition between the water and now this is mud, and you could do a mud bubble right here. This will give you a chance to do lightning up here and lightning down here. You can put another volcano over here in the background that's just erupting. And then you can do your eruptions. So then you've got eruptions, lightning, smoke, lava, water, mud bubble. And then remember that a whole bunch of you still need to catch up on fire. So, you know, do a place where you're laying out your fire. All right, you want to take a screen grab of that?
Yeah.
Got it?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so let's talk about volcanoes here for a second. Or two. So what I have here is just the beginning of a volcano. I'm sorry, I always do this. Every single semester, I always go from tornado to volcano and I say the wrong thing all the time. All right, so let's take a look at what the preliminary animation looks like right here. I'll cycle it. This is only 32 drawings, so I've got 8 drawings on 4s that are in between from 4s to 2 to 2. So this is all on 2s. And it looks like this. And just study that for a moment. And you can see that you've got these little ribbons of smoke. It's technically smoke. It's technically clouds. You've got these little ribbons of clouds that are moving upwards. So let me pause that playback. Let me just pause the record and screen share. Hey, look, I remember to do screen share. All right, so let's talk about deconstructing this tornado once again. So let's take a look at what this build looks like, and you can see that it's working. Here's how you do this. Here's one of the best ways to do this. What I'm going to do is I'm going to work on my layout layer. So I'm going to draw on this layout layer here, and I'm going to with my green pencil. Let's let it loop just for a second and study it. Okay, so we've got that motion. We can see that there's 32 frames, 16 drawings on 2s. Okay, good. So 16 drawings on 2s. Let's think about what happens in the motion here. What this is a little diagram of looking down the tornado as if you were up on top of it. Tornadoes move counterclockwise. It just so happens that when you have a low pressure system, that low pressure systems always move counterclockwise. In this view, though, you can see what I've done here is a couple of different things. One is I've drawn this series. Let me make sure that that's on the layout. I don't know where this one is right here, but this one's actually kind of semi-incorrect. If you follow this little diagram right here, you'll get the animation working, but it won't be as nice as we've got it right here. Basically, what you want to imagine is that you have a Pringles can or a very big Pringles can, a very wide Pringles can that is pinched in the middle or just pinched all the way to a central point on the ground. Does everyone follow that? So I started by thinking about drawing a regular Pringles can. And if you've ever done this in a drawing class, you may understand that one of the reasons that your foundational drawing instructors use a cylinder like this is because it's a really good explanation of how to draw what in your view would be an oval, and then down towards the bottom of the Pringles can, it becomes a wider oval. And so if this is a 15-degree oval in your view or less, this could be perfectly straight line, because that means that your eye view is right on it. And then as it moves away down from your view, it becomes more of a wide open 25 or 30-degree oval. If the Pringles can was very, 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 very tall, then this oval then becomes 40, 50, 60 degrees. If it was infinite, then this becomes a perfect circle all the way to the bottom. In our view, we've got both. In our view, we've got our horizon can be right about there, or it can be right about here. And that means that the motion that is actually counterclockwise motion is moving on a straight line. So it's coming around the tornado, and then it's coming in front of the tornado, and it's going around to the right side, and then in the back of the tornado, and it's just moving on a straight line, because this is where our eye line is. As long as a tornado is moving counterclockwise, everything in this upper atmosphere should be moving this way. And everything on the bottom then should be moving this way. Does everyone understand that? So low pressure systems always work counterclockwise. So in the upper atmosphere, these ribbons of clouds are moving this way. And then underneath, below the ground eye line, then they're moving this way. So let's double check and make sure that we can see this. And I lied, this one's moving backwards. All right. So when I did this, I think that I wasn't complete in the direction, but the animation will be the same. So let's talk about looking down the center of this tornado right here. And what I'm going to do is let's just do it over here. It's new so you can see it. So what we're going to do is we're going to look down the center, and we're going to divide this up into 4 sections and then into 8 sections across like this. Remember, we want this kind of motion. So any ribbon here is going to be a certain length long. And right now we've got 8 different sections of it, so that if it is this long, then it's going to move over into this position, and then it's going to come over here, and then it's going to come over here, and like this, and over here, and drawing number 7, and then drawing number 8. All right, so this is our view right here. This is how we're looking at it. And if the tornado is really wide at the top, we might only see the tail of this one. The cloud that is the tornado, we may not see this one at all. But we have to account for this, because if we skip this one, it'll move too fast. It'll move way too fast. And then when we see this one, we may only see the tip of it. And then this one, the ribbon is it's foreshortens to us, and then it expands and becomes its full length in this drawing. And then it starts to contract a little bit, and then we might only see a little bit, and then the tail. So that's how this works. Okay. So we have 8 drawings here about how to get these little ribbons of cloud moving around. In the upper atmosphere, they move slower. So in the upper atmosphere, if you have a ribbon of cloud that's here, you can still work on 8s, but expand this and bring these around. They're bigger, they're longer. And then because they're moving slower, these are probably going to, you can't do these like we said over here that we have 16 drawings on 2s. These might be 16 drawings on 4s, just to slow them down to half the speed. And in order to do that, in the timeline, you're going to need to figure out what the main 16 drawings look like for the ribbons that are really close to the tornado. And then in the back, underneath it, you're going to need to do the clouds that are 16 drawings on 4s. And then you're going to need to take this clump of ribbons and copy and paste them here after they're done. And remember, I say that because as soon as you copy and paste from the timeline, these become symbols in Toon Boom. And what you do to one frame automatically gets repeated on the next frame over here. And if you can understand that, that's fine. But the more logical, simple way to handle this is to animate this stuff first. Animate your main cloud right here first. And then get this working, 16 drawings on 4s. This is 16 drawings on 2s, and get those two working. It just so happens that you can say, hey, you know what? In this example right here, there could be 8 clouds that are working on 1 that are really close to the tornado. And so you've got a variety of timing of 8 drawings on 1s, 8 drawings on 2s, and 8 drawings on 4s. Does everyone understand this example? And they're all moving counterclockwise. And we're looking straight down the tornado right here. And so that's the essence of this timing right here, is to, and what I like to do is I like to animate the clouds that are moving 16 drawings. Let me make sure this is 8 drawings on 2s, 8 drawings on 4s. And animate this part first, and then go back, and this is easy. And then the upper atmospheric clouds are easier too, just because they're a little bit more forgiving. They're just moving really slow. All right, so having said that, what I'd like to do is start a brand new file. Billy B Tornado version 1. All right, so let's go back and look at our references again, just really quickly. You know, I like this one, and I like that one too. So this one's good. And I see the references down here. Again, we're looking at this right here. We're looking at the sketch that I was asking you to do. What does this tornado look like? With this tornado, we're going to have the tornado itself as a principal animation. We'll have lightning in there. Tornadoes usually have lightning, and lightning is easy to do, so don't worry about it. We'll have debris, which is basically the same kind of theoretical animation movement as your eruption, you know, depending on how you handle it, illustration wise. And then one more, I thought there were 3 things, tornado, lightning, oh, and debris, right. So sometimes it's fun if you get the notion here as an animator to do a couple of things with this. One is that in this debris down here, you can imagine that the tornado is just ripping apart everything on the ground plane, and there can actually be flashes of lightning down here if it was going across a neighborhood or something like that. I don't want to make it too complicated, but you can add flashes of lightning down here, just like exploding transformers on power lines, and lightning up in the atmosphere. All right, so in Toon Boom then. All right, so let me put my layers together here. I want this layer to be my background. I want a tornado layer, so I'll just call that T. I'll give myself like maybe 3 different layers. To tornado 1, tornado 2. This will just be the different ribbons of clouds. I want a layout. And we'll figure those out in a minute. I want an arc. I want debris. What else? Lightning. L just for lightning. Say okay. And let's just, so this one's L1. I want to delete this one. All right, so let's work on our layout first. And let's put our layout on the bottom, even underneath the background. And with this, what I would like to do is, well, let's actually put it above the background, because in the background here, I'm going to give myself just a singular color. Some ominous dark blue with purple just in the background. All right, now on my layout layer, let's think about this for just a moment. Let me switch to this view right here. And remember, I always break the rules by drawing on the drawing layer instead of camera, because I want to make sure that my focal points are in the right place. So I'm just going to draw a bunch of lines in this green. And I'm going to call this my layout. And I want this green to just be obnoxious because I know that I'm just looking at the layout. So once again, hey, oh. Cinematic thirds. Oh, I'm painting. That's weird. All right, let me turn my background off for a moment. Okay. All right, I'm going to use my pencil. And these are my cinematic thirds. And this should just be a reiteration. I'm just doing this to be didactic. There's my center. I'm reminding myself to stay away from the edge for action safe areas and title safe areas. And I probably don't need to say that to you again. Any other instructor, you will go, oh yeah, I know exactly what that means. So these areas, these little cross hatches represent the action safe and the title safe area combined. That's my center. All right, so what I want to do then on this layout is just kind of think about where I want my horizon to be. Generally, if you have a normal camera, your horizon is going to be at or around the first cinematic third. So let's just use that. Because of the center point right here, we're just going to create a really simple perspective. Just to remind us that there's perspective on the ground plane and that there's perspective in the sky. And in this project, we use this perspective in the sky because if the rotation of the tornado is going counterclockwise, then it's going to go this way up here and it's going to go this way underneath it. All right, so let's draw how we want our tornado to look like. You know, we've got a really nice shape here. I would like to remark that in the past, I have had a whole bunch of animation students in the class. And so I tried something really intricate where the tornado was like over here and then it tracked across the stage and it was just a nightmare. It looked cool, but it took like 4 weeks to do instead of just a couple weeks. So we're not going to do that. We're going to keep our volcano more game oriented. So in order to do that, what I think I'd like to do is just figure out the swing up here. So I'm going to look at this as my clouds in the upper atmosphere. And then I'm going to swing it right through it. I'm going to take my render back off now. So I know that I'm drawing the upper atmosphere first. And one of the really great things about Toon Boom is that you can draw off the stage, right? Here's my center point right here. And so I want a bend to it. You can see that in the example, it's not just a straight cone. There's a little bend in it. You know, you can call it a line of action if you want, but it's just call it a bend. It's a natural thing. And so you're just kind of looking at this bend. All right. All right, so what I'm doing now is I'm just generating the perspective right here. And then on the ground, well, this is basically my eye line right here is either at the horizon or just above it. And so this stuff down here is going to move like this. Now I want to connect it. So if this right here is the part of the tornado that it's the widest, I'm just going to follow this arc right here. I'm going to bring it in. I'm going to pinch it all the way to the ground plane. I can even do like a little undulation there if I want. All right, so now I'm going to follow this one. I'm going to bring it in a little like this. I'm going to go all the way to the ground plane. All right, so this one isn't really spinning around a central point, which is fine. All right, when I do this, I want to draw in just the front lines that make up the perspective. So, and remember, they're curved, and now they're getting flatter as they become more towards your eye line. And then they go this way down here. So now they're curving. So make those a little stronger. So you're reminding yourself that there's perspective here. All right. So now we're going to do our little key over here again, just like we did in the other drawing. We're going to make our little key that any ribbon of cloud, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 in our view down here. So remember that we're probably not going to see the mid ribbons when they're behind, and only see this much of the tail and then this much of the head. And then these guys right here are compressed. We only see them foreshortened. And this is start drawing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So we're just working on 8s. All right. All right, at this point, I think that you can kind of start making your layout more of an illustration. In your illustration, remember to remind yourself to draw clouds in the upper atmosphere. And you're just kind of looking at this in terms of composition. So there might be clouds out here. And then give yourself the debris. And right now what I'm doing is I'm drawing the arc that the debris is falling on. So any of these become pure bouncing balls in animation. So this little bit of debris is moving really fast. And then it slows down as it goes towards the top of the arc. And then it speeds up again. You can even bounce. So we'll do these little debris things last, right? If we get this out to 64 frames that these guys can move, we'll do those last. They're easy, but they move last. And you can either put them in as little circles, or you can do little cross lines like this. Something to remember though, if one is coming up into the camera, that it might start out slow and ease into the top, but the rules of perspective are is that it speeds up dramatically as it comes up into the camera. All right, this one's going to bounce. So I'm just going to do some cross on this one. And really, truly, the more time you spend thinking about your layout, the better this is going to be, the easier it's going to be. All right, so then I want to put some little smoke down here. And this smoke is going to be different than any of the other smoke that we've done because this is more random. It's just churning up the ground plane and it's rising and falling at the same time. All right, then lightning. So let's make room for our lightning. Lightning is going to start from a place up here. And maybe it'll come back into itself. Did I send the, let me just check. There was one thing that I thought that I posted to the class that, oh yeah, both of these. I said, wow, look at both of these. Did you all see this? Anybody see this?
No, I looked up my own references for the lightning, but I'll look over these.
But this is the craziest lightning I've ever seen. It's like, whoa. It's like it starts out and it grows and it looks like a, I don't know what it looks like. It looks like a flower, and then there's this central core. That's just crazy. And then the other one that I said was this one, which is really beautiful. Just that little mat behind the core cloud back there. So you don't even see the lightning itself. You just see what it's lighting up. I thought those are really interesting. All right, so for us, we'll just stick with lightning on one side or the other. And just make sure you get them in there so that you know to, on the layout, so that you know to do them. Just keep them simple. And I have lightning here, and it's just it's gonna cycle, but it's gonna be repeat. So let's take a look. We've got tornado 1, tornado 2. We'll probably have 2 or 3 other tornado layers. We have our arc layer, which we may not use because we're using our layout layer for that. Let's just make sure good. I always have to double check myself for accidentally drawing on layers that I don't want. Okay, so I think we're ready to start here. And the first thing that I want to do is this tornado 1. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this layout color and put an alpha on it, just so that it becomes like a little blueprint for me. And in my T1, I'm sorry, wait, I don't want to do that. In my T1 layer, I want the T1 to be my first look at my art direction. So what do I want? Do I want blue? Do I want green? What color do I want my tornado to be? And remember that the really wonderful thing about Toon Boom is that when you identify this tornado 1 layer, which will just make a gray color, remember that, you know, one of the other reasons why I absolutely love this part of Toon Boom is that if you push the slider all the way over here and you got RGB values that are all the same, so your RGB is 98, 98, 98, that's gray. So if you move it anywhere in the gray area, all those numbers are the same. So for the rest of your lives, when you see an RGB value that is the same in all three of those fields, it is gray. If it's really black, it's 0. If it's really white, it's 255. Right? So we're just going to pick something that is closer to white, something like this. And then at that point, you can put some color in it. And at that point, once you've drawn out all these Tornado 1 layers, you can change it instantaneously for the entire shot. What we're going to do here is we're going to get this central tornado to move. We're going to get it to move along this core right here. And this is going to be a rough layer for us. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to sketch this in. And this is a rough layer, so I can actually bring in the center, the core of it if I want. And I'm going to connect it at the top. All right, so what I want to do is I want to get 8 frames of this working. So I'm going to come out here. I'm going to put it on 2s at first. Oh yeah, let me get my background F5. Let me get my layout F5. So I'm going to come out here just to the second one. And here's the theory of getting the tornado to move back and forth correctly. Let's go back to our layout color. So if the tornado is going to start at one point, like for instance, just any of the lines that indicate either the right or the left edge, it's going to go from this point to this point and then back again. So it's going to go from left to right and then from right to left. So it's just the same as a circle, but in our eye view, it's just moving laterally back and forth. So this is drawing 1 and then halfway through the arc. So we've got 1 and all the way back into drawing 1 is drawing 8. So we go back from drawing 1 into drawing 1. So we've got 8 drawings. So we just number them. One, 3, 5, 7, 8. I'm going to just put it on 2s just for right now. I'm sorry. 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11, 13, 15. Remember that in the world of animation, this 5 and this 13 are technical secondary breakdowns. There is no graphic indication for that, but you start with 1 and then 9 is all the way out here. So you go from 1 to 5, 3, 5, 7, 9, and then you go back again. So you go from 9 to 11 to 13 to 15. All right, so does everyone understand? I think this might make more sense when I start actually animating this. So let me turn my layout off so we can see what we're working with. So right now in the Tornado 1, we're just drawing this. And we want to get this to move a little bit to either the right or the left, and then to come back again. This core is not going to really change too much. So what we'll do here is, let me turn my onion skin on, is we're going to go, I'm going to take the little chart that I drew up here on my layout, and I'm just going to copy this. I'm not picking it up. Did I not draw it on the layout layer? Did I draw it on the tornado layer? I did. All right, so let's take this. Hey, oh. Sometimes Toon Boom just doesn't do what I tell it to do. All right, let me just do that again down here. Toon Boom is misbehaving again for me. So because this tornado is going to be, this layer T1 is going to be a rough layer. Let me just do a reminder for myself over here. This is drawing 1. It's going to move from drawing 1 all the way to drawing 9. The intermediate breakdown is 5. There'll be a 3 drawing in there. There'll be a 7 drawing. And then on the way back, it's going to go 11. The intermediate breakdown is going to be 13 and 15. So this is just a graphic reminder of what I want, how I want this main tornado to move. All right, so having said that, what I want to do is drawing 9. So what I want to do here is I'm actually going to, I don't think I've drawn anything, but what I want to do is I'm going to give you all a little hint about Toon Boom. For this drawing right here, I'm just going to make a little mark to set the keyframe. I'm going to go out to here to drawing 5 and set just a little mark to set the keyframe. And so I don't have to worry about filling in blank drawings. I'm actually just like grabbing a piece of paper and numbering a piece of paper. That's all I'm doing right here. And once you get the keys established, you can actually go back in there and erase these. The keys will still be there. All right, so I've got I want to go out to frame 15. It's on 2s, so that's 16 frames. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I did too many. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So let me get rid of these. All right, and double check. I've got 8 drawings. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, good. So this is drawing number 9. This is the middle drawing here. Let me turn my onion skin all the way open so I can see where I was. They should do something about the sensitivity there. I want drawing 9. All right, so this is my middle drawing, drawing number 9. I don't need this to move very much. If you look at your examples, you can see the little wiggle in the center core is only moving a little bit. It might not be moving hardly at all. This one is moving more, but this, I think one of the reasons why we're doing this in special effects class in 2D animation is that we want to control all of this. All right, so this is my main breakdown drawing here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to, with my T1, I'm going to just give myself an apparent motion. So this part's going to move to the right. And then this part right here is going to actually move to the left. And I'm giving myself enough area, enough space right there so that I know that I can do at least 2 drawings in between each one of these positions. All right, so then this part is going to move. So I got everything moving to the right. So I'm going to move this to the right. Oh, I want it a little wider than that. And then this part's going to move to the left. And then this part, if I drew it to the right, it would be a little wide. I'm going to continue moving this one to the left. All right, so this is my main breakdown drawing. The line at the top can be a moving hold. And that's because it's just kind of like, it's technically a moving hold. Just keep it in the right and technically the same place. All right, so now now that we've got our keys established over here, now we can go to this drawing and just fill in the intermediate breakdown. So we're just in betweening these lines. They cross over right there. It comes out, goes over here. And in the production world, intermediate breakdown drawings end up becoming technical because there's going to be a drawing on either side of this drawing. You want to make sure that the lines are not as scrubbly, not as rough as your key drawings can be kind of rough. And for the longest time, I was trying to describe the difference between rough and messy. Rough is a good thing in animation. All right, so we don't need to see what this looks like in animation yet. Well, let's go to drawing number 3. And now we can see we're going from drawing this drawing into this drawing. So now we're doing this one. So now you can see that the necessity for keeping your line neat and clean becomes really important. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to limit this one. I don't want to be confused as the direction of the line. It's moving to the right. It crosses over. Now it's moving to the left. And draw this one in. Go back to drawing 1. Make sure that you've got this contact point in all drawings. It's technically a moving hold. All right, so then this drawing, now you're going from, let me limit the one before it so just we're not too confused. There we go. Perfect. So G, go F, G, F is we're moving from the white, this white into this drawing. So we're doing an in-between right here. Crossing over. And remember, it's really easy to be graphically confused here. And I'll say it again, it's like, flip this, go F backwards. So this white line is where we were. Now this is where we are, this is where we're going. Just to get the direction correct. This is where we were, the white, this is where we're going, right? The white is here, and that's where we're going. So now on drawing, now I hit my keyboard a little too quickly. Drawing 1, 3, 5, 7. We're on drawing number 7. So 5, 7, 9. So this is moving this way. Moving hold, moving hold. All right, let's take a look at this. 1, 3, 5, 7, 9 is our breakdown. Now we're going into the next drawing. We don't have it there, so we have to turn our layout on. And our layout, we want to take our layout drawing and just kind of figure out where the best place to put the alpha is so that we don't get confused. We want to do this drawing right here. So let's make sure we get it in the right place because it's going to affect this drawing and this drawing. If you want, let's do this because sometimes this works the best. Let's put a fake drawing here at drawing 17. And we're going to just go from our layout. And on drawing 17, we're just going to kind of, oh, I'm in the wrong color. Hold on. We're going to copy the layout drawing into a fake drawing, and we're going to erase it as soon as we're done. Just because we've got a lot of stuff happening on the layout, and I want to just be really clear about this. And remember, you can draw rough because the clouds are going to be a little forgiving. All right, now let's turn our layout back off again. So now when we're doing this drawing right here with our onion skin, oh, we need one more frame. Now we can see where we're going. So we're going from our, oops, I'm going the wrong way. So this is drawing 9. This white line right here is where we are right now. And then this drawing doesn't have anything on it yet. So that's what drawing 9 looks like. This is drawing 13. That's our intermediate breakdown. There's nothing there yet except this little white line. But this drawing right here is where we're going into. So on drawing number 13, again, which is our intermediate breakdown, now we can just get this line in here. Remember, the lines are just oscillating back and forth. And I'm giving myself a nice bit of distance between the lines so that I know I can in between them one more time and not be confused about where the lines actually start and end. The crossing over and going right here. All right, so now let's go back to the first drawing and see if it's moving correctly. Let's turn our onion skin off. Just go keyframe by keyframe. Actually, on this drawing, let's get the moving hold back in there on this one so we don't forget about it. Drawing 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11, oh, 13, right? Bring this back, put the moving hold in there. All right, good. So now let's do this breakdown. I'm sorry, this in between. If you wanted to put your keys further apart, these lines would be a little easier to draw, but putting the wiggle lines further apart would mean that you have a lot of motion within the tornado itself, and you would be shooting yourself in the foot because then you're going to have a lot of extraneous motion to take into account. All right, so let's go back to frame number 1 again. 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11, 13 is our intermediate breakdown. And now we've got 15. So 15 is the last drawing, and we're going from that into this, which is our fake drawing, right? We're going from this is our last drawing into this drawing, which is the copy of the layout. So on this drawing right here, just start. And like I said before, I'll say it again, if you do the lines of the drawing in the same order, it's almost easy to remember where they are. Your hands have memory. All right, so what we've done is we've just animated the left and to right oscillation of the volcano, the tornado itself. So right here, this is drawing 17. I don't want this. I want to stop the cycle at 16. And let's see what this looks like. All right, so it's moving correctly. It doesn't look like I've done any of those lines incorrectly. So what I can do here is I can stop the playback and I can delete this drawing. I'm just going to delete it by killing it. But it's moving too fast. You know, so I'm going to put this on 4s. I mean, I think it's moving still just a little too fast. So let's put it on 6s. Actually, let's keep our numerology correct and put it on 8s. 1, 2, 3, 4. One, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, that's weird. It took this last drawing here, so I'm just gonna stop this cycle at 64 and make sure we've got this wiggle. So that looks good right there. That's just the main push of the frame of the tornado itself. So having said that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete this drawing. And that just got rid of that little thing right there. And that reminds us that we have a 64 frame cycle started. All right, so let us take a 10-minute break again. Yeah. And many games have really great looking effects in them. But I think that Dave and I agreed that what he was trying to do really in the end was make sure that game students knew, for sure, without a doubt, that drawing is important. You can't just go through your game curriculum and think that you don't have to know how to draw or even know how to animate. And so he put this class in there, and there was one particular semester where I ran 2 sections of it, and I was always amazed to see that as the semesters went by, more and more game students were taking the class. Like, so it's good for me. I don't mind, but just remember that this connection is to drawing. All right, so let's continue with our tornado here. Again, we have 8 drawings on 8, which is 64. And this just represents the core movement moving left and right. If I thought it was moving too slow and I put it on 6s, then I would get into trouble. I might have to do some strange in-betweens, but let's try this right now. So right now I've got this part on 6s and it's going for 48 frames, so it's only 2 seconds. Let's see what this looks like. You know, it's not really that different. The problem would be is the numbering of things. And this is really only the core. And I want to keep everything on 8s and 6s, 4s and 2s. So this is just the core. All right, so let's turn our layout back on and let's kill the alpha on the gradient layer or the layout layer. Oh, wait, hold on a second. I just killed my green. All right, there we go. All right, so let's get a ribbon of smoky clouds to move around on Tornado 2. So with my pencil, with a Tornado 2 color, I want the back on, I want more of a white color. I want to be able to see this, so I'm going to make it in the blue gray range. That's fine. All right, so following our key here, oops, sorry. So let's start with I'm on tornado 2, right? Right here. And so right here, so this is my horizon, and I want to draw a ribbon of clouds that is going to be going counterclockwise around the core in 8 drawings, but let's follow our key. And remember, we just one at a time, and it makes it easier. If you try to draw all of them, and then in between it, you'll frustrate yourself for all get out, but we'll do one right here. So what we'll do is we'll also go back and look at what the shapes of those interior ribbons of cloud look like, right? You can see that there's a really organic, this one's more graphic, more geometrical. This one's right in between, and this one's the one I really like. So let's just get this ribbon to be like this. And I'm just gonna do this as a series of lines so that I know that I can go back in and clean it up later. All right, so now I'm gonna animate this straight ahead, just using this key. I've drawn drawing number 1. I'm gonna put this on 2s just to start, and drawing number 3 is right here, and I'm just gonna draw a couple of lines. All right, now the next drawing. Now we see it's going off into around the tornado itself. So I'm just going to draw a bunch of lines right here. And now drawing 4, drawing number 7, we see just the tail end of it. So I'm just going to draw the tail. I'm going to go, now this one is the drawing we don't see. This one, because we just saw the tail, this one we don't see it. So I'm going to come off the stage and just make a mark so it fills in the key. This one, we see just the little head coming around the corner. So we just draw it right here. I turn my onion skin on just so I can see where the first one was coming from. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 drawings. This is 7. So now we see just the foreshortened drawing number 7 right here. Oops, I drew that in the wrong place. Just the foreshortened bit of these lines. And the final one is drawing number, which is actually drawing number 15, starts coming around and catching up to our original position. All right, so I'm going to make sure this is on 2s and ending at frame 16, and limit our playback to drawing 16, and take a look at just that little bit of cloud right there. All right, so I think that's moving way too fast. If this is inside a vacuum cleaner, I could buy it. But right now I'm going to put this on 4s. And remember, I do this for you all the time so that you know how to alter your timing. So frame number 1 gets 2 frames to all right, so now I'm going to limit my playback to frame 32. Start at 1, 32, and see what that general timing looks like. All right, that looks okay. That looks good. Let's do another one. Let's do another one on the same layer for T2. But this one, we're going to start on position number 3. So this is the foreshortened version right here. This one right here, just a couple of lines, right? All right, so it starts right there. Now go to the next keyframe. And this one, we see just the tail end of it. And then the next one, there's nothing there. So just go to the next drawing and we see, oh boy, it wasn't that long. Maybe you don't see it on this one either, because that's a wide part of the tornado up here. So on this one, now following our rules of perspective, now we see the head of it come out. Now we see the foreshortened part of it come out. Now we see it coming up into position number 7 and then into position number 8. And again, I'm just drawing a bunch of lines that represent the position of where, and I'm doing this differently than I've done it before, just because I think that the ribbons are cool, but I'm just trying something different. Let's look at it. All right, so you can see now I've got 2 of them and they're starting at different places. So we're gonna do the same thing on this drawing. We're gonna bring this one right here. So this one is gonna be position number 8. And again, I'm just drawing a bunch of lines to fill in where that ribbon of cloud is gonna be. Go to the next drawing. This is the one that's in full view. They should overlap each other. Again, you're looking at these ribbons of clouds being in perspective and moving in circular perspective. Next drawing. All right, this is position number 2. All right, this is position number 3. Position number 4, nothing there. Position number 5, nothing there. Position number 6, just the little head of it coming out over here, maybe a little wider. And then position number 7, I think if I had my onion skin open the whole way, you can kind of see more of where it was going. All right, let's look at how that looks. All right, so are you getting the idea of how to do the ribbons of clouds that go around the core? Let's do a couple more, but let's start in this position. Now we're going to start on this key. This key is key number, drawing number 17, drawing number 5. And so let's put one like right here. And again, I'm hovering my finger over the G key, which is just the moving to the next keyframe. So now all I have to do is get this puppy to move over here, overlap it just a little bit. This is position number 2. Might look good if it starts going around the cloud. This is position number 3. So just a little bit of the wraparound. Position number 4, yeah, I can't see it. It's gone. Position number 5, it's too wide up there. I can't see it. And position number 6, maybe a little bit. We're going to skip this one. I want it to go here. And then this one, now it starts to come out a little bit more. And then this one, you can see where we drew it. Just do an in between, just right there. And again, I'm in the other example, I used ribbons, and I'm trying to get away from the idea of a ribbon on this demo and just drawing a bunch of smoky lines. Let's see what that looks like. Okay, good. So now let's start on this frame and draw one down here. So now follow our key, drawing position number 2 and a smaller ribbon of smoke. Drawing position number 3, it's going around the core. Position number 4, we don't see it. It's just not there. Drawing number 5, position number 5, we can see the head of it coming out just a little bit. This one is coming out a little bit more. Position number 6, it's right here. 7, and play. All right, so now if you imagine that if you started one here, that instead of going around the core in a circular fashion, you could actually get the ribbon to move upwards. So you could just draw one and in between it all the way up. I don't care. I think that our example here shows the ribbons just going around in a circular fashion, which is, it's fine. If you want to make it look like they're moving upwards, that's fine. That's up to you. On drawing number 1, I think we need a big ribbon right here in position number 2, a real big one. And again, this is the rough layer, so I can put a ribbon on top of this when I'm happy with it. All right, position number 3, it starts going around. Position number 4, we don't see it. Position number 5, we don't see it. Position number 6, it starts coming around. Position number 7. And play. All right, good. So now let's go to drawing number 3, frame number 9. We need one right here. This is in the 7th position. Drawing next keyframe. This is our 1st position. This is our 3rd position. It's foreshortened. 4th position, we don't see it. 5th position, maybe a little bit. 6th position, 7th position. I'm sorry, I just did that wrong. Hold on. 7th position. Let me make sure I'm in the right place. Yeah, we're missing this one a little bit. And this one. All right. All right, let's see what it looks like. Okay, good. So it's starting to work. Let's go to this frame right here. Look at what you've got. There's nothing right here. So in the 7th, at the 8th position, draw one here. You're going to need just a whole bunch of ribbons. And like I said, do them just one at a time. Go to the next keyframe. Go to the next keyframe. And by the time you get into like this part of it, you can get the swing of it. You can start to see how your composition looks and how easy it is to get the little ribbons of clouds to move around the core. All right, let's start on this keyframe right here and do one that's right here. This is moving really close to the bottom. Next keyframe, straight, position number 1, position number 3, foreshortened, position number 4, we don't, oh God damn it. Position number 4, position number 5, we don't see it, 6, and 7, and 8, let's see how that looks. All right, I think I made a mistake on that one. I'm gonna Command Z a bunch of times. All right, so let's start on this drawing. Let's draw one right at the bottom. Right at the bottom. So this one is gonna be in position 8. Next keyframe, position 1. Position 2. Position 3, just foreshortened. Position 4, we don't see it. Position 5. We don't see it, just ahead of it maybe. Position 6, foreshortened. Position 7, we see just a little bit of it. Oh, I did it again. I did it again twice. All right, let's see how that looks. All right, so we skipped a frame there on the bottom. So let's start right here, follow it around, watch. All right, this one needs one right here and right here. And let's see how that looks. Okay, that's good. So now let's go to the position number 7. Let's draw a big one up here. All right, how's that look? All right, we're starting to build it out pretty good here. Let's take the last few minutes here. Let's just look at this and just analyze it. I think it's working okay. The core is moving okay. Those ribbons of clouds are moving okay. We need a whole bunch more. And again, I think that I would go back in here on a T3 layer and just give these a nice look, a good aesthetic. Well, let's talk about this debris here for a second. So the debris, it's just really easy. So we're gonna pick a debris color. But there's one thing that I want to caution you about. So we're gonna pick this blue-green color here. On the debris, we're just gonna do this one right here. We're just gonna animate this guy right here. So on frame number 1, we're just gonna start a little shape right there. And I can't really see it, so I'm gonna alter it to be a little brighter. Just for right now. There we go. On 2s, follow it up. Just follow your layout. In past classes, I have suggested that you could draw a little mini cow and have the cow copy and paste and even tumble on this arc, that's fine. Or you could do a tractor, or you could do a screaming old man or something. Ah! Or just remember that at this point, he's coming into the camera. So now you want to speed this up. And I'm kind of moving away from the timing that I had on my layout, but that's okay. This one's just going off the screen. Now, the thing about this is that this is going to cycle. So what I would recommend for you here is, and that's going to work. I mean, just watch this guy. It's, you know, it just moves. It's fine. So on your debris layer, you could basically do the same thing. You're going to animate all of these over here. But what I would recommend, and this is probably the more important thing about doing a tornado loop like this, is that, yes, it's true that what we see here in this example might have a core number of 8 drawings on 2s for 16 total frames at 24 FPS, but more than likely, this is 8 or 10 or 12 drawings at 30 FPS. And game animators, like I said before, have to make that decision to switch your essence of timing from 24 FPS to 30, but because you're still learning animation, I would suggest you only do that once. Just get your sense of timing down for 24 FPS and learn how to do the timing, because it's really easy to understand. How long does it take for a run cycle? It's only 8 drawings on 1s. A walk cycle, it's 8 drawings on 2s, 16 frames, or 8 drawings on 4s, 32. Just get your timing down at 24 FPS, and then only once in your life make the switch to 30. And then you'll see that going back to 24 if you need to can be really challenging. In my experience, there were only a few animators that could go switch back and forth. That could go, they animate something at 30 and animated at something at 24. And those people were brilliant. They're crazy smart. I never got to that point. All right, so let's talk about one more thing here. Let's add another layer. I don't know what I meant by this layout layer. So I'm going to change this to S for smoke. All right, so the smoke, and this is kind of easy here. We're going to give ourselves a yellow dirt color here. For this smoke, quote unquote smoke, well, we're going to use our paintbrush, and we're going to pick the dusty pastel, and it is sitting at 84 pixels. So if I draw this, that's fine. I think that that'll be fine. So on to, so what we're looking for right here is we have 8 drawings that we need to do on to. So we see our layout that the smoke is just kind of in this shape right here. This is the easier part of it. We're just gonna kind of pencil in a little bit of smoke. We're going to turn our layout off. We're going to see what we've got. We're going to embellish it just a little bit more. And just like the pixie dust, we're going to turn our onion skin on, but let's go out to here, and we're going to limit it just to the frame before and the frame afterwards. And on 2s, we're just going to make sure that the dust is growing and that they're maybe only a little bit in the same place. We want it to, this is technically a moving hold. So we're just gonna keep it in the same place, but just kind of moving it around a little bit. If you really wanted to, you could go in there and have the smoke pluming up and pluming down, but I don't recommend that on 2s. So we're just going to go in here, and the smoke is just kind of going back and forth. When you're thinking about this, there's smoke going up, there's smoke going out. It's just kind of there. It's transparent. It's almost like we want a wider brush. It's there. We want to see it. We want to feel the stuff happening. We've got all right, so I'm just going to fly through this, and then we're going to just see if it's working. Because right now, because I put the debris actually, let me see. Oh, hold on. All right, so this is my 8th drawing. And I have an intuition that what I've got is working if we put it on 4s. And I need one more. And we're zoomed in on this at 200%. So just on this smoke layer, let's make sure that it's just working. It's kind of random, that's fine. Get this to be on 4s. Get our playback to last till 32. Let's see how it looks. So it's pluming out, that's good. And let's just add a little bit more to it. So on the first frame looks okay. Next frame, let's take our onion skin off actually. All right, so what I'm doing right now is I'm just kind of filling in the open spaces, and I'm trying to keep it looking like there's more volume of the smokish dust on the sides. This emulates the idea of the circular pattern of the smoke cloud dust being a circle in perspective. And I'm just doing it kind of random here. All right, and we will continue working on this after midterms. But I think that what happens is that the deeper you can get into this part of it that we've done in the last hour, the easier the production will be for your final. Let's take a look and see what that looks like. All right, so that's looking pretty good. Just that random quality of dust right there. It's actual physical dust. All right, I called it smoke. And remember, if you want to think dust and you change the S to a D here, then change the color to match. All right, so let's take a look and see what we've got just in terms of we're going to just see what the clouds on 8's looking like. So we want the whole thing to be on a variation of timing. So this is 8, 4s, and 2s, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave the debris alone, but I'm going to take this dust and I'm going to copy it. And I'm going to go to the blank. Oops, I deleted it. Hold on. Copy it, go to the blank keyframe here and paste it, right click. Now remember what that did is it created all of these are now a copy of everything that we did. So I'm going to mark this one to let me know. So I'm going to say mark this frame as red. So that tells me don't draw anything on this frame, because if I do, it'll affect this frame. So only draw on this one. All right, so this is the this layer here is that, so I want that to cycle. So I'm gonna copy cells from the timeline. And I'm gonna go to the blank keyframe and paste the cells in the timeline. All right, so we've got a 64 frame cycle started. And let's see what it looks like, 64 frames. Cycle it. All right, so now you can see that debris is only happening once. That's great, that's what we want. It starts at the beginning of the actual animation. And if you shift click, you can just hold your left mouse button down and grab it, and then just slide it down the timeline to wherever you want. So let's say you just want to, it can just be completely random. This debris flying is completely random. And it feels that way now too. All right, so from my approximation here, I would need maybe 3 more times of the ribbons of clouds moving around the core. It is the thing that makes this look like a tornado. I would also need the clouds in the upper atmosphere moving around. And remember that we took this cloud and copy and pasted it here. It's the exact same cloud. So mark it, right click, and just mark this orange. Then that way you know, hey, anything I do to this one is this one. You could even mark this one orange if you were visually acute and say, hey, you know what? Anytime I do anything to the orange frame in this cycle, it affects this one. Same thing here. You could say this frame is the same as that one. So anything I do to this part of the cycle is going to be copied. If you go over and look at your library, that these show up, the dust and the T1 now show up in your symbols layer. They show up in the symbols layer. You can get them to animate right there. They are symbols now. Remember that Toon Boom borrowed this from Flash. All right, so once again, just a reminder, what I'm looking at is you thinking, hey, you know, I like this blue and this dark blue. Get this puppy animated first so that you like the timing. And you still have to add the lightning in there. And I see 64 frames working here, but we've only drawn a handful of drawings really to get this working. There's still a whole bunch of work to do. The hardest part really is getting the undulation, the left and right motion of the core working first. In the past, I think that what I have had students deliver to me was stuff like this. We've looked at this before. You know, it's fine. So Meng here has taken the squibbly lines that I drew and did them more geometric. That's fine, you can do that. Let's look at a couple other ones. You know, this one is okay. The clouds are just kind of randomly moving. This would be like a B- project. You know, it's looking like a tornado. It looks like some of these lines here are drawn with a stylus, and I don't want you thinking that just a simple line with a stylus is the aesthetic we're looking for. You know, this one's really short. I think it had a really great look to it about the core moving left and right. I think it's unfinished. Jen was following my lead on the other one. So this was from the demo that I did correctly instead of the other one that I showed you where the clouds were actually moving clockwise. It is a real thing in life that the tornadoes anything that is a hurricane moves counterclockwise. All right, so this one has got that feeling of the ribbons moving up, and he's got this debris that's moving upwards too. There's an example there, and we'll keep working on this. Taking a couple weeks. So I know that I've given you a whole bunch of things to think about. I know that nothing that we do is really all that complicated. It just takes a bunch of work. As a reminder to you, my input for midterm grades are due on Tuesday the 28th. So I have a note to myself that I'm going to take some time on Sunday night and look and see what anyone has put in the folders there. Remember, I kept those folders open for till the end of May. And so that when you put anything in there, I will automatically see, hey, there's something there. So if you're missing stuff and you want credit for it, put it in the folder by Sunday at noon, and then that'll help your midterm grade. But don't worry, midterm grades go away. What I want to make sure though is that you've got your volcano like ready to go for the spring show as soon as we meet in 2 weeks, right? So that's more important. Your progress 2 grade will be infinitely more important, because I want to make sure that you all understand that in the LMS, they built this little thing that said, hey, Rob did this really cool volcano. It's got all these effects in it. And I used to be able to right click and just say, add this to the spring show, but it doesn't work. You have to submit stuff to the spring show yourself. Okay, you got it? So we'll see you in 2 weeks. Have a good spring break. This tornado is not due in 2 weeks, but I would like to see progress on it. I would like to see at least your sketch and your layout. What are you thinking about it? With more effort, more emphasis on getting caught up on the stuff that you're behind on. And don't get too far behind, because I want to make sure that even though we do have like 7 weeks after that, that your tornado is going to look really great, and your final is going to look really great too. Just put all your emphasis there. All right, do I have any questions from the gallery? He's turning his mic.
I posted an update of my volcano.
Okay.
Wanted to check
For
it out.
all the other ones anyone else who wants to take off, you can take off, but Rob, I will look at your volcano.
Thanks. I just added some color and lightning to it. I still got some stuff to work out.
Okay.
I noticed all the other student projects were in color. I don't know if that's a requirement or not. I don't recall or remember you saying that they have to be in color.
Well, the volcano should be, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Remember my demo? I was showing you how to do gradients and color fills and
Yeah, no, I figured because all the examples were, but I just for some reason couldn't recall. Like, did he say we had to color it or not? I couldn't
Yeah.
remember.
yeah, I recommend color. Definitely, especially if you're going to add it to the spring show. All right. All right, you're on the right track here, Rob, Mr. Rob, definitely. What else are you going to add to this? You got lightning and the flash.
I think what I'm gonna end up doing is when it's all fit, like I got a couple things I want to add as far as the color, and then I'm gonna try to shrink it, or I'm gonna export it as its own PNG without that background, so I can use a different software for moving around the loops and stuff, because Procreate
Sure.
doesn't really work that well for that. But I want to shrink it down, but then keep the clouds at the top, so that way I don't have to add more clouds, because
Yeah.
adding more mountains easy because it doesn't really move.
Right.
But I do want to put it further back. I don't necessarily want it in the foreground like it is now. So that way I can add more stuff to the front.
Okay. What are you thinking? Water splash, lava?
I'm doing a water splash right now. I don't know if you can see it on here. Oh yeah, no, you're definitely not gonna be able to.
Yeah, because you have a virtual background.
How do I turn that off? Okay, none. There we go. I still don't know if you can see it or not. It's probably still gonna be pretty blurry.
Pull it up a little bit. Oh yeah, it looks pretty good.
Oh, there it goes.
Make more variety in your fingers. Look at me in the monitor.
Okay.
Your water's looking like this.
Yeah, yep.
Make more variety.
Okay.
Make it more natural. Before you
Got
go
it.
any further, make that adjustment.
Okay. Yeah, and I was thinking that too. I was using the mirror function to where I basically have to draw half of it.
Oh
and it makes
yeah,
it
then
symmetrical.
that's gonna get you into the trouble. So you can do
Yeah.
that, but then go back in and adjust things so that it's more asymmetrical.
Absolutely cool.
Yeah, so
Thank
don't
you.
do this. This will get you into trouble.
All right.
This is what we were trying to avoid. All right, we'll see you in 2 weeks.
All right. Thanks, Billy.
All right, ciao for now.